Hello and good evening. My name's Derek, and today we're going to be continuing on our tutorial that we did last time with doing the massing and site tools within Revit, and we're going to start to develop roads inside our site. So let's get started. Okay, here's where we left off in the last tutorial. After we had brought in our topography and then we did the massing for the building and we applied walls, windows, and a roof to the solid. Now what we're going to do is to put our road in. And what I like to do is go to your site view. And we're going to use the split surface command to create the road. And I'll show you the reason why here in a second. So basically go ahead and click on the command. Select your TopoSurf and let's sketch in the road. And what we're going to do is just do a loop around the site. Let's do an offset of 20 feet. Clean this up. And what you'll notice is that when I created the road, I just pulled the lines off the edge of the topography, because at the end of the day, these lines are going to go away and we're going to be left with different sections of the grading. Now, it will only do the command for one split. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab select this. I'm going to do a Control C to copy it, and I'm going to paste it back in. So let's delete that line and then just finish off the command. So you can see that we have two separated topos. So let's go ahead and do it again. And we're going to split this inside piece, and then we're going to Control V, paste our lines in that we just copied out, and we'll finish this off. So now you'll see that we have a TopoSurf that represents a road, and then we have two other separate pieces. Let's go back to a 3D view. And what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to export out this road and make a 3D solid out of it, an AutoCAD 3D solid, and then bring it back in. And the reason why is that you can't really create masses or in-place families and host them to topo site type of objects. But when you bring it in, you can then basically host and do what we'll do is a sweep to represent the curb and gutter. And I don't want to export the whole project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this piece right now. So we'll hide that element so that we can grab everything else and hide it. So I'm going to do an element hide, and I like to use EH for element hide. Okay. And then we're going to go back to our temporary hide and isolate, and we're going to reset this. So now when we export this into a 3D AutoCAD, it's only going to do this road. Okay, to do this, we're going to go up to File, Export, DWG. And I'm just going to save it to our desktop. And then I'm going to bring it back in. Insert, Import CAD. Bring it in from your desktop. Now, one thing is because when we've brought this in, it's going to be at a different elevation, and it's going to depend on how you set your coordinates. In the last tutorial, I showed how to actually set up your coordinates. But in this tutorial, we're just going to bring it in so I can show you how to do the roads. I have my section box on, so it's going to hide the object. So make sure your section box is turned off if it's not turned on. I'm going to go to just a frontal view so you can see that way up here is where my 3D solid is. I'm going to unpin that because it pins it for you so you can't move it. And go ahead and move it down in elevation to match my current road. So if you want to get it right on, you can move it to exactly the same point. So that's pretty close. Okay, and you can see it's still hidden, and there's our road. Now this will give us the ability to do a sweep along the edge of this object. Okay, one issue with bringing it in is when you do use this as a reference for a sweep or making a solid object, it won't find the edges. And I'll just show you that, and then we'll show you how to correct that. So if you go to your architecture tab, go to components, do model in place, and everything is going to be either site. You can associate with a site, or I'm going to just pick roads for now. Roads 1's fine. If I do a sweep and click on the sweep command and try to pick edges, it's not going to find the edges. So the way to rectify this, let's go ahead and cancel out of this command. And I'm going to tab select and delete my mask, my 3D mask that I brought in. So instead of bringing it in by just going to insert, we're going to create as a mask first. Okay, so under your masking and tools, click on in place mask. Mask 2 is fine. And then what you'll notice is you have the ability to insert under the mask command. So we'll go ahead and import CAD. Bring in our 3D mask. Now it's brought it in, but again, it's in the wrong elevation. So let's go to a front view. Okay, while you're still in the mask command, you want to select it and unpin it. And we're going to move it down to our other elevation. And I'm just going to get as close as I can for this exercise. Okay. Now you can see we've got the 3D mass in here from AutoCAD. Now we're going to go ahead and try to host an object to it. So go ahead and finish the mass. And let's go back in and create an in-place component. So go to your components, model in place, and we're going to do roads. Road 1 is fine. And we're going to create a sweep. Pick edges. And now you can see that you can actually pick the edges. Okay. So now we can go through and create our edges and then bring in a profile. Now we still have to make a profile for the sidewalk. So before we go any further, let's cancel out of this. And we'll come back into it later. But we're going to create ourselves a profile of the sidewalk and curb and gutter. Let's go up to Family, or go to File, New, Family. And we're going to go in and find our profile family. Just a plain profile family template will be fine. Okay. So we're going to create this section of it. And what I like to do is where the curb attaches the gutters, where I like to create the intersection point. Okay, so here's the curb and gutter. Let's put a little bit of radius on it. Let's do a little bit more than that. Clean it up. Okay, let's create a little sidewalk off of this. Now you're going to notice I'm going to create two profiles right next to each other, and this will going to leave a little joint in here just to make a nice effect when we're laying it out. You can see the different pores between the sidewalk and the curb and gutter. Okay, and you could also put some constraints on here as far as how long you want how wide you want the sidewalk. But I think for this exercise, we're just going to do it pretty generic. So let's do, in our world, we're going to do a 5-foot sidewalk. Okay. And I just want to leave a little bit for a joint. 1/4 inch. Or maybe we'll go up to 1/2 inch. Okay. And like I was saying, you could put a parameter on this. Come up here and add a parameter if you wanted to, and make it so that you could adjust the sidewalk on the fly. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that. And before we do that, let's constrain the point here to this line. So I'm going to create a dimension off of our access point here, just 6 inches, and I'm just going to lock that down. And you may also want to lock this joint too, just to be safe. Okay, so let's come in here. Let's create this as a new parameter, and we'll call it width. Keep it as a type parameter. It should be fine. And now we can adjust that width as needed. You could also do that with the curb and gutter. Right now we've created the curb and gutter at 2 feet, which is pretty standard for most jurisdictions. But let's just keep that the way it is for now. Let's save it. Give it a name that we'll remember. I'm going to call it Sidewalk 001. Okay, and you can load it into your project. My project is called Sample 1. Okay. Let's go to a 3D view. And let's go ahead and make a sweep and put our curb and gutter in and sidewalk. So go to the Architectural tab, Components, Model in Place. And this just assign it to roads. You could do site, whatever you prefer. Okay, I just kept it as roads 1. And let's go ahead and do our sweep and start picking our edges. So let's pick our path. This might be a little monotonous, picking all these little faces or edges. Okay, I'm going to stop here, and I'll show you why in a little bit, because as you do sweeps, they tend to warp as they come around corners. So we're going to do it from both sides, and then you'll see where the warp is, and then there's a way that we can back it out and fix it. So let's continue with this one, and we'll come back and fix it the other way. Okay, let's finish that for the profile, and let's load our profile that we just created. So it's called Sidewalks 001. Okay, that came in perfectly the way I wanted it to. And let's go ahead and complete the command. And now you can see that we've got our curb and gutter following our road. Okay, let's do it on the other side. Now I'm going to keep it in, I'm still in a creating object type command. So I could finish it off, but I want to go ahead and create another one within it. Okay, so let's do another sweep. Pick our path. Okay, I'm going to stop it here so that we can blend the two together later on. So there'll be one section that we don't have in here. And if you look in here, you'll actually see that there's multiple segments. So we may have to expand this one out further, but we'll stop this one here. Okay, and then we'll bring in our sidewalk profile. Okay, looks good. Okay, you can see that it follows our road nicely. And you can also see that some of it is being hidden by the topo surf, but we can fix that later. That's an easy fix. Let's go back and let's edit this one. I'm going to extend it out a little bit to this point. So we're going to just edit our path. We're going to add, and I like to use the pick line when I'm picking my edges. And we're going to continue it to that point, because you see this is one segment that we can use to do a different type of object to meld the two together. So let's finish that off. Now maybe what I'll do is go ahead and show you what happens. And I'm just going to finish it to there so you can see. That's actually not bad, and usually I get a lot more torsion. And it just depends on how you do your site. And especially if you come in here and you want to rotate this slightly depending on the slope of your site, then you could have a lot more distortion than this. So, but I'm just going to show you so you can fix it right in your model. So let's go back to edit the sweep. I'm going to take that piece out, delete it out of there so that we're stopping back here. Okay, and let's finish that off. Okay, now you can see that we have that section to fill in. So what I like to do is, instead of using the sweep, I use a swept blend. Now swept blend's nice because you can take two profiles and sweep them together, but you can only do it with one line. Whereas the regular sweep, you can pick multiple lines to sweep along. This one you can only do one. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll pick our path. Like I said, only allows you to do one. And then we're going to bring our profile into each point. Okay, so finish that off. We'll do profile 1. Let's find our sidewalk. Okay, and you can see it popped it right in there. And you can see it's rotated a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it until it fits right in there. Okay, and let's start with a degree, maybe add another half a degree. I'm just kind of, so I did 1.5 degrees, and it fit in there like a glove. Okay. It's off slightly, but I'm going to call it good. Let's do our other profile. Bring in our sidewalk. And we need to rotate that as well. Let's take a chance and put 1.5 in there. Let's try 1. Maybe 0.75. I'm kind of just guessing, but you can actually measure it out and figure it out yourself. But for this exercise, this should be good enough. Okay, let's finish that off. Now it did give us an error message that I couldn't create it. Okay, so let's go ahead and try it again, and we're just going to sketch out the profiles. Okay, so let's go create swept blend. Revit does do quirky things where it can't always make the objects. So if you can't do it by bringing in a profile, most of the time you can do it by just creating, sketching out the edges. So we're going to do by sketch. So do edit profile. Okay, we just use our pick tool. Okay. And I'm just going to close it up for this exercise. Okay. There's one overlapping here. Okay, now this should work. Okay, accepted that one. Let's do the other one. Okay, profile 2. There we go. Sketch. Okay, sometimes I get confused on which one we're working on. Okay. See, this goes pretty quick. Oh, missed one. Okay, it's not liking it. Let's see. Let's try that. Okay, so sometimes if you can't get these things to close, it's good just to use your trim tool and trim every single corner until you get it so that it works. Okay. There we go. It worked. Now we've got our 2 profiles created. Let's see if the command will close it. There it goes. Now we've closed it. And you can see now that we're pretty close now on our joints, so the warping issue that you may have has gone away. So now we've created one of our sidewalks. So let's do the other sidewalk. So again, stay in your creation mode for doing solids. And I use the term solids, kind of old school, when you'd work in AutoCAD and you'd create solids. Revit, everything's pretty much a 3D object. Okay, let's do our sweep again on this side. Pick our path. Okay, so we'll leave a space in here to do the same thing. Okay, finish that off, and then let's add our profile. Okay, Looks like it's laid in just fine. It's funny how sometimes it'll lay these in correctly the way that you want to, and sometimes they won't. Um, there is an XY coordinate way that it does it, and it does have to do with what you pick first as you're picking your edges, and when it starts to plot out where the section's going to be. And you kind of just get used to how to do it. Okay, let's go ahead and finish that off. Okay, now it's made the curb and gutter and sidewalk on this side. Okay, let's do this edge over here. Again, we'll create a sweep. I get a little error message there. I wonder if I selected on top of one. Let's try that again. No, it just gave me an error that one's slightly off of axis. I get those errors every once in a while. Okay, we're going to leave this piece void so we can blend that later. Go ahead and finish that. More than one loop not allowed, so we've missed something. Something's not continuous, and it could be with that error that we got. Okay, that might have cleaned it up. Let's see. Nope, we're still having an error on that one. So I'll just go around, and sometimes you need to, oh, it looks like we may have found our issue. So let's clean this up a little bit. I think we've got a couple on top of each other here. Okay, let's try that. This one's being a little finicky. Okay. Just trim these things together. There we go. Okay, we got it to clean up. Okay, let's go ahead and put in our profile. Sidewalk 01. See what it looks like. Put it in perfectly. Okay. Now let's meld these two together. You can always test it and see how close it's going to be. So let's just add this path to here. See what we get. Yeah, see that one's off quite a bit. So I'm going to undo. Go backwards here. Okay, let's go ahead and do our swept blend. And again, we got to do that whole sketching thing. It might be better just to sketch it all out. So let's pick our path. And then finish that, and then we'll sketch our profiles. Okay. Pick line tool. Okay, we'll clean this up. Just go around to everything. Oh, we missed one there. Just go around the whole perimeter, make sure everything's cleaned up. Double check some of these here. Okay. Okay, that worked flawlessly. Let's do the other side. Okay, so profile 2. Edit profile. Let's pick our edges. Okay, let's just make sure we've got them all. Oh, looks like I missed one right here. And just, we'll do our trim to make sure that everything's cleaned up just in case. Okay. Yep, that worked. And let's go ahead and finish that off. Perfect. It looks great. Okay, let's see what our whole sidewalk looks like now for our site. Okay, it looks pretty good. Now, if you want to come back through and clean up your site so that you're not seeing this, you can simply go to your site view and you can do the same thing that we did before. Let's finish off we're still in our command for creating the solids. Okay, let's take a look to see what our site looks like in a 3D view. So there's our road sidewalk that we recreated. Here's our mass, and we can simply hide that until we want to use it again. And let's turn on the rest of our site and see what it looks like. So I just hid everything. Oh, let's get rid of our mass again. Just there's our road, and the next step would be if you want to adjust your elevations, you can grab the different parts of the topo surf as you like to, and you can adjust the level. Maybe you pull this down just slightly so that the curb and gutter read better. So just you can do that in elevation. Click on the left or right, just move it down just slightly. 1/4 of an inch should be fine. And then your road's going to be, your curb and sidewalk are going to be more visible. And you can also adjust, you can see that if this is going to be part of where the grade is, your sidewalk is actually above the topo surf. So you can simply just grab this whole thing now. It's one big object. Let's go to our left view here, clean it up a little bit and just bring everything down with our road. Let's do it on this side. Okay, and I'm just going to nudge this down. Oh, and you can't move it down unless you move the mass it was assigned to. So let's go back, turn the mass back on. Or we can just select the mass simply and then pull it down. So let's edit in place. Make sure that we've got it, the import object, and pull it down a little bit. Finish the mass. Now you can see that the curb and gutter have updated to the location of that mass. Okay, let's pull our road down a little bit. There we go. Now you can see that the sidewalk is sitting right on top of where our grade was. And you can adjust this as you need to. If you want your sidewalk to be level with the grade, you can pull everything down with it. Let's see, take a look at it and see what it looks like. Let's give the road a concrete materiality. Here's concrete lightweight. It's already set to that. Let's do this other piece. You can see that I've have two roads in here. Okay. And maybe we want to put our sidewalk also on the same concrete. So we'll have to do that in the edit command. So let's grab all the different pieces. Come over to category and change it. Okay, and I'm going to finish it off. And there we have it. There's a road around our site.